Hello, everyone, and welcome to 30 Days Strong. I'm Sean Dirk, and I'm here to love you, and I'm here to honor you, your power, your wisdom, your grace, your beauty, your geniusness, your creativity, your divinity. I want you to know that you are something absolutely wonderful for the planet and for all of us and for nature. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up for yourself every day, loving yourself, nourishing yourself, honoring yourself. Because when you nourish and honor and show up for yourself, you are bringing greater healing to the world. And that, I have to say, is something absolutely wonderful. So I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you for being here and honoring yourself for 30 Days Strong. We are on day 26. We have been going so strong and so powerful, and just getting all the information and truth that people have been sharing of their own divinity that they've been learning, which means remembering. Because remember, none of the things that I am sharing with you is teaching you. You are literally an RS. That means a remembrance student. You're not here for me to dictate to you or to tell you anything that makes any form of hierarchy with who we are together. Our relationship is solid and it's beautiful because we walk side by side, hand in hand, forward into places where love is needed the most to amplify love. So, literally, everything that you are doing, it's not about learning, it's about remembering. And that is the shamanic way. Because in shamanism, it is not about teaching you or telling you what to do. It's about just laying things in front of you, and asking you one simple question: do you remember? And if you don't, that's okay. We'll just keep laying it in front of you. And that way, you will eventually remember. And you will stand side by side as sisters and brothers in this united global understanding of love's commitment to see ourselves lifted and shifted into fifth dimensional consciousness, to love's awareness for all. No labels, no more defining ourselves with race, no more putting energies and strains on ourselves to meet demands and expectations that have nothing to do with us. The only thing that will matter is in the way we bring love and amplify love with the people in our lives, with the trees, with the flowers, and with every complete freedom and liberation in consciousness. This is what is possible. And this is what we all are achieving. So if you are new to 30 Days Strong, I encourage you to go back and look at some of the other shamanic teachings and remembrance so that you can really take in and nourish yourself with nectar and fruit and beautiful things to just give you the sustenance that you need for your spirit. So that way we are not operating in a place of codependency anymore. The age of codependency is over. Out with that, right? Exactly. So I just want to acknowledge you all so much. And I just want to thank you. Thank you for being alive. Thank you so much for being alive. So today on 30 Days Strong, we are talking about the shadow. Now, a lot of people have this idea that the shadow is some negative aspect of yourself or some aspect of yourself that needs to be dealt with. People will say, you have to face your shadow, as if it's this thing that if you turn towards it, you're going to like turn to ice or to glass or to something like looking into Medusa's eye and be turned into stone. Well, I can assure you that's not going to happen. You see, the shadow is our light. It is the light of our being. That the reason why it's in shadow form is because it's holding on to all the things that you or me or anyone doesn't want to deal with. And the shadow itself is connected to all consciousness that has been distorted. That means that the light of light is taking responsibility and saying, okay, fine. So you don't want to hold on to that. And you don't want to take responsibility for that. And responsibility means what? It means the ability to respond with love. Again, responsibility is the ability to respond with love. That is true responsibility. When you have responsibility for your bills, or responsibility for children, or responsibility for whatever it is, it's not supposed to be this hammering thing that's like, I have to take responsibility. I have to be responsible. I have to be, because the way that it's been programmed into human consciousness from the matrix is being responsible has to feel dreadful and uncomfortable. When in truth, true responsibility is the ability to show up with love. The understanding of that allows you to have a relationship with your shadow. Yes. Yes. So the thing is, think of your shadow as this beautiful friend of yours, okay? And every time you don't take and show up and take responsibility, which means the ability to show up with love, your shadow's like, your friend who's just pure beaming light, which is you, right? Is like, you know what? I'm gonna take that for you and hold it for you until you're ready to show up for love. I'm gonna take that for you, and I'm gonna take that for you, and I'm gonna take that for you. Oh, look what's happening. I'm becoming shadowy. Okay, but it's okay because I love you so much. And I know in time you're going to show up responsibility and take responsibility with love. So I'm going to take that for you as well. And I'm going to take that pain you went through. And I'm going to take these judgments. And I'm going to take this thing. And I'm going to take your real beliefs about that. And your real feelings about that. And your real beliefs about that. And I'm just going to hold on to it. But holding on to it, right? Because it's low density and it's held in fear and lack and limitation. I am pure light, and now it tarnishes that light. And so now I'm your shadow. And see, what most people look at the shadow with is they look at it from duality, which a lot of people look at things on our planet from duality because that's the works of the matrix. The matrix's whole positioning is to get you in an opposition in an incorrect way with anything. So you're afraid and you approach it with fear and you approach it with like, I have to go and do shadow work. Shadow work? What? How about I love having a relationship with my shadow because your shadow doesn't sugarcoat. Let me put it to you like this. Your shadow, which is your light, does not care about how many likes you have on Instagram. It doesn't care who your besties are and who your BFFs are and how many cool parties you went to and if you were invited or not. It doesn't care what people really have to say about pretty much anything. And it doesn't care about the human understandings that we get so caught up in because the matrix programs us through lack of emotional intelligence to get caught up in those distortional fields. That means what? That means that your shadow has no problem calling you out. And it will tell you straight up with no sugarcoat, no petting of the pooch. It'll just say, this is what it is. This is what it is. That's what that is. That's what this is. This is what this is. And see, human beings like to feel like they're getting some form of coddling, right? Like, I can't tell you how many times people will say thank you to me when I take them out to dinner because they feel like if they don't say thank you, they're not coddling that part of me that just gave. And then I might get upset and never want to give again, which if I'm truly a giver, I don't really need your thank you because I do it because I love you. And if you want to say thank you to yourself. You're the one who manifested it with your powers as well. It's an equal, positioning of power. I manifested it. You manifested it. We all manifested it together. So we should say thank you. I'm thankful that I have the means to be able to take you out to dinner. And you say thank you because you manifested this dinner, right? But we have this really interesting aspect of humanity, which is why human beings need to hear these things like please and thank yous. Like angels and spirits and other beings don't need to hear those things. You choose to say those things. That's okay. because you need accolades. Or sometimes people will say, well, Shaman Durek, I really appreciate you sharing with me, the things that my shadow wants me to show up with love for. But I just feel really upset. And I'm like, why are you upset? And I'm like, because, I feel like you're not acknowledging all the things that I have been doing to make changes in myself, in my evolution and spiritually. I go, oh, I get it. I understand. You need accolades and you need acknowledgement for everything that you went through. Okay, fine. Let me go and get my box of trophies and my amazing letters for you. How do you want me to share that with you? Okay, here we go. So I just want to let you know, I'm really amazing that you did all this amazing stuff since you were young and went through all this pain and you overcame it and everything. And now there's more information for you. And we're so happy to present it to you. You see, human beings need that, and that's okay if that's what you need. But the shadow is not going to give that to you. The shadow doesn't play in the field of insecurity and relations and how many likes you have and how cool you are and what kind of car you drive, what kind of house you live in, and who's your posse, who's your squadron that you hang out with, who's your tribe and what kind of dress you're going to wear. All your shadow interest is in one thing, and that's getting you to be who you really are, which is the light, which is the creator, which is the most profound, illuminating presence throughout the universe that has the ability to create more universes, more dimensions, more galaxies, and more planets. Once you learn and understand here on Earth what duality is, what happens when you open your mouth and create without thinking, without acknowledging how it affects you and everyone around you, recognizing and not holding so beholden to the things that you've done in the past, because all of those things were a part of training and understanding human development, human suffering, that you've actually shared the cloak of human suffering on you. So if you've gone through excruciating pains like I have and everyone else has in their own way, it's because you signed up to come to Earth and hold a tiny portion of that cloak of human suffering. So that way you can understand what makes humans turn away from their light and their power and their grace and their beauty and their joy and their magic. And you know what makes me really happy when I share shamanism with you? Because I have my own agenda, right? But my agenda is always for the betterment of humanity. My agenda is that by sharing these knowledges and teachings and wisdoms with you, it is to allow you to recognize your power. So that way we all walk together as equals and we get to pull the old magic and resurrect it back on Earth so that power and healing and everything goes up. The upgrade of our powers goes up. We have been playing in this muggle land for far too long, and you can see, and I love that word muggle, so I'm just going to use it, and you can see what has come of it. What has come of it has not been the respect for women, the respect for nature, the wisdom of children. I mean, how many parents can actually say that they ask their kids for correction? I mean, how many parents can look at their kids and say, if you see places where you think I can grow and be more loving, please share it with mommy and daddy? How many parents can actually say they're willing to be that level of vulnerable and transparent for the sake of their children growing up and knowing that it's not about them, it's about the tribe, it's about everyone. Everyone in the tribe has a position, okay? And, we are a society of people that can't handle the truth. We have the ability to handle the truth, but we choose not to handle the truth because the matrix makes it so easy for us not to handle the truth. Do you know why people go watch sports shows and why celebrities are the entertainers of our world? I mean, wait a second. The walking gods of our time, like the Athenas and the Zeuses and so forth, are entertainers. Entertainers. Yeah. And you know why? Because human beings don't want to take responsibility, which means to show up with love and hear the truth exactly as it is. And that's what the shadow will give you. Exactly as it is. It's not going to sugarcoat it for you. It's not going to plagiate it for you. It's not going to look and say, oh, I got to be gentle and soft for you, because that's all basic that's all fragmented emotions. The shadow wants you to get into a place where you are comfortable with truth, because truth allows expansion. Truth allows illumination. So when you are operating in this place of lack and limitation, it's because you're not being truthful. You're not listening to your shadow. You have money issues, you're not listening to your shadow. Your shadow could have told you a long time ago all the reasons why you have money issues and how to get out of it. Your shadow could have told you all time ago how to deal with every situation. But if you don't listen, because of that one proverbial energy spirit that we like to hold on to, which is called stubbornness, because the stubborn spirit is literally a pendulum that swings from side to side, because the stubborn spirit can be stubborn against, like, you can be stubborn, be stubborn about the fact that you'll never run out of money. Be stubborn about the fact that you will constantly be flowing with energy. I mean, people will even say to me, Shaman Durek, I've just been so disconnected. What does that mean exactly? I just feel like I'm not connected. Wow, really? Interesting. This idea of connection. Is it like a wall socket connection? Is it like plugging in your cell phone or your television? And where do you plug in at? Is it like something that, so did someone unplug you, or did you unplug yourself? I really want to understand, because your words aren't really describing you as this omnipresent, omnipotent source that moves through this body and through everything, because that's who you really are. And this is just a biological spacesuit. What you're referring to me is like, you're like a transistor you're like a radio or a TV set or some kind of cell phone that needs to get plugged in. So you think that by you doing this, this, and this, and this gets you plugged in. And so therefore, then you're like, oh my God, I feel so connected. Well, really? Because, I mean, well, when I look at it, you've always been connected. You're just not utilizing the energy of your connection, because you're letting your mind tell you that you have been disconnected. And that part that's doing it is the stubborn part of you that doesn't want to acknowledge that you are a resource of a source, of a source, of a source, of a resource, of a source. That means you are what we call a self-sustaining resource, like creation. It just self-sustains itself energetically. It just regenerates energy. And that's what you are, and that's what it wants you to understand. And the only part that's going to get you to understand that is your shadow. But your shadow's not going to play your game. Your shadow's not going to sit there and be like, you know, if you can't hear your shadow, that's because you don't like what it's telling you. If you can't hear your shadow, it's because you don't like the truth. But you know, the greatest way to love someone is to tell them the truth with love. I had this one woman in Texas, and she said to me, I could never tell my husband that, you know, I just could never say that to him. He'll never understand. And I go, then I guess you don't really love your husband, do you? She's like, oh, of course I love him. We're high school sweethearts. I'm like, I don't believe you. I'm going to call your bluff. She goes, why would you say that? I'm like, I'm just going to call your bluff. I don't really think you really love your husband. But why would you say that, Shaman Durek? Well, you don't think he can evolve with the information you have to share with him. So you walk on eggshells and afraid to share with him, which means you haven't really got to know your husband, because if you knew him, you would understand his language, and you would find a way to adapt your language to his language so that he could hear you. And every time you're like, he won't understand me, he doesn't get it, he'll never be into these things, you're basically cutting off his evolution. That's not very loving. And the second thing is, you don't tell him the truth. You haven't been intimate for a very long time. You've been feeling like all the responsibility of the kids have been placed on you, and you won't tell him the truth, which means from a place of love, which basically means that you don't really truly love him, because if you really truly loved him, you would want the best for him, and you would want to see him evolve. I mean, the last time I checked on the evolutionary scale, that would probably like mean that you would want him to evolve so you guys can grow together and prosper together. So when you make those comments, you're just basically cutting him off at the boots. Well, of course, I would say boots because I love cowboy boots. But the point I'm making is that when you are allowing yourself to be willing to hear the truth with love. You can tell someone the truth with love, but you have to ask them permission. You have to say, hey, that's something I think is really going to be amazing for you to hear, that's going to support you, because I know how smart and powerful you are, and I know you're going to be able to handle this. And would you like to hear it? And if they go no, that means that their intrinsic wisdom is saying no, so back off, okay? But if they say yes, go ahead and share the truth. So the shadow is exactly like that. If you ask your shadow, hey, shadow, what do you think about the job that I'm in? And you hear nothing, or you feel nothing, and you use the ABK that I've been sharing with you for your remembrance, and you aren't getting anywhere, that's because you don't want to hear what the shadow really has to say about your job, because you have some views about your job where you've been what we call sugarcoating your reality. Now, what does it mean to sugarcoat your reality? Well, I'll give you an example, okay? So I had this woman in Turkey, and she was sent to me by a friend of mine, my friend Nestle Khan, and she said, I didn't actually really know. I just knew that Nestle Khan, because she's a powerful healer, and she's this amazing spiritual leader in Turkey, and she was just like, Shaman Dirk, I'm sending you someone, and this girl comes in, and she's like, I've been wanting to get pregnant, I've been on IVF, I've been doing this, and I've been doing that, and I want to have a baby. And literally, I was like, okay, shadow, like, does she want to have a baby? And they were like, she wants to have a baby for her mom, because Turkish moms of her husband are like, hey, when I'm going to have a baby, when we're going to have, grandchildren. And the husband wanted to have a baby. But she never really checked in with herself to have a baby. But she just went along with the pressure, or the idea that her friends were all having babies and everybody was having babies, so maybe she should have a baby. But she never really asked her shadow about the fact if she really wanted to have a baby, if she felt ready to have a baby. And having a baby isn't just about having a baby. Having a baby is about making your vessel more ready than it had to be. Right? That's why we have amazing doulas and women who are about helping you to get to that space, to be able to do that. And I know there's some men out there who do that as well, right? But the thing is that having a baby is a serious, not just I want to have a baby because it's cool to push my baby down the street with my stroller, and my mother-in-law is going to be happy, and my husband's going to be happy, and I fulfilled my thing. I mean, are we living in the time of Queen Elizabeth, where if you don't have a baby, you're going to get beheaded? The truth of the matter is, she never checked in with herself. And so therefore she was lying to herself. And so her shadow told me she's lying to herself, and that's why she's not getting pregnant. And she doesn't want to look at the lie because she feels bad about having the lie. And she feels bad about the fact that she has the lie, and then she feels bad about feeling bad. So this whole thing, this whole self-deception, because she feels she can't face the truth, because she feels guilty and shameful for feeling and thinking that for herself. Then she feels bad that she feels bad for feeling and feeling guilty for thinking that. Now you've got two whammies, And I mean, double whammy right there, it's like, it's blinds on, it's tunnel vision. It's, I'm just going to keep complaining and saying, I want this, I want this, I want this. But in fact, I never wanted to talk to my shadow and find out why I'm not having it. So literally, I said, okay, how am I going to support this woman to having a child? They're like, you need to piss her off. I said, okay, I'll piss her off. What shall I do? They said, tell her she's a liar and she doesn't want a baby. So literally, I said, so again, you want to have a baby? And she's like, yes, Shaman Dirk, Nestle Khan sent me to you, Jenam. I want to have a baby. I said, you're a liar. You are such a liar. You don't want a baby. You're such a liar. You know good and well you don't want a baby. You just want to make your husband happy and your mother-in-law happy. You are a liar, 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 liar. She goes, oh my God, who are you? How could Nestle Hunt send me to see someone who as mean as you? How could you? I go, mean as me? Because you're a liar? Because you lie about wanting to have a baby and then wonder and then you're on IVF and doing all these things. Just be honest, you're a liar. And she started getting riled up and she's like, I can't believe people in Turkey come to see you, Shaman Durek. I can't believe it. And she stands up and goes, I want a baby. You don't know. And she leaves. And I'm like, all of a sudden I get a phone call from Nestle Khan. She's pregnant. One day I'm standing outside where I live in Turkey, in Bebek, and this man touches my shoulder and he goes, I want to thank you, Shaman Durek. And I said, for what, my love? He goes, my wife is in, she's coming out. Maybe you'll remember her. And she comes out and she starts crying and she grabs me and goes, Shaman Durek, I need to show you something. And she holds this wallet up and there's a baby picture in the wallet. And she goes, I had a baby. And she said, and I see what you did. And when I told Nestle Hunt how mean and how dark you were and how bad you were, she started to laugh because she knows that who you are. And I realized that I didn't want to have a baby and I needed to, you made me get to the place of recognizing that I can have a baby, but I had to fight for it in myself. I had to get real with myself. I had to do this. And now we have a baby little girl. I said, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. You see, my darling, I said, because if we had done any other healing that I could have thought of, when I asked your shadow told me to irritate you because you're not pushing into your power. And a woman, I don't care if everyone around her wants her to have a baby, if she's not in her power, her womb isn't activating, her uterus isn't activating, everything is not going to activate. Her hormones are going to be off, her body's going to be off, and so all of these things until she faces and gets down to what the situation is. Again, the shadow. The shadow will reveal to you all of the truths if you change your disposition of needing to be right about your game. Because look, here's the thing I'm going to teach you in shamanism. Okay, here's the thing in shamanism that I really want you to remember. Okay, when someone comes to me and says, Shaman Durek, I want to have money in my life, and I say, no, you don't, and they get upset. Don't get upset. The fact that you don't have money means I'm right. So be humble, have humility. Shamans, we learned this one simple common sense thing. If it's not happening, it's because you really don't. When I go to a hospital and someone says, like recently I had a situation, this beautiful RS, remembrance student, said, could you please, Shaman Durek, put my father on your pro bono? I said, absolutely, darling, absolutely. So I called her up on the phone and I said, I need you to be in the room with your father. And I need to use your body as a conduit. And as I walked into the room, when I walked into the room, meaning I was there and with her spirit, she was there, I was in my place here in LA. And I said to her, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to tell you something, okay? What we're about to do, okay, can go two ways. One way, it could bring healing. The other way, it can bring release to allow the person to move on. And I've already asked the spirits, which I asked the shadow, what is going to happen. And the shadow said that that he was holding on because he didn't want everyone to feel hurt, and he had things he needed to deal with before he leaves. So I said, if we do this, Spirit is telling me your father is going to leave tomorrow or the next day, but very soon. And she goes, what? And I said, yes. So we have to acknowledge that, because you have to understand something. When people are on this, what we call it, people call it their bed or their deathbed or whatever, in the hospital or whatever, we are not a single cell being. That means that the part that is ill and the part that's there's one part that wants to be like, sayonara, you guys, see you in heaven, peace out. I'm gonna swim, I'm gonna climb mountains, I'm gonna fly like a bird again, I'm gonna turn myself into colors, and I'm gonna eat as much as ice cream without gaining weight. I am gonna have so much fun. I'm outie. I'm not gonna be here anymore. I decided I'm gonna leave. The other part is like, I want to stay, I want to stay, I want to stay. But if the person is fighting for their life, that means those two parts are having a conversation. Now, a lot of times when people go and deal with people on that nature, they think, oh, it's just them, they want to fight. But you haven't talked to the part of them that wants to die, because human beings don't like the truth. Human beings like to sugarcoat everything and like package it up in a way that makes them feel comfortable to deal with it. They don't really want to look at, oh, wait a second, if this person is in a situation like this, there's a part of them that wants to die, and there's a part of them that wants to live. And in order for me to be a really powerful healer, and what we do in shamanism is we communicate with the part that wants to die, and we also communicate with the part that wants to live. And we look and see what is the percentages of energy being sent to each or the other. So is the part that wants to die at 80% and the part that wants to live is at 20%? I tell the family, get ready and say goodbye. If the part is 50-50, that means they're going to either, one, go into a coma, or they're going to go into a place where the doctors always say things like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. No, well, basically, the reason why you don't know is because the person who's going through it hasn't made a decision which one it's going to be. Okay? Then there's people who want to live more, but there's that part that wants to die, and it's growing because it's starting to remember all the things why it doesn't want to be here anymore. So until we as human beings can get comfortable with the truth, there's going to be a very long journey to having a deep relationship with our shadow. And to also tell you, your shadow will tell you exactly what is going on. It is not going to sugarcoat it for you, because it knows that by being truthful to you, you become more and more illuminated to take responsibility, which means show up with love for the things that you have been asking your light to hold on to, then it becomes your shadow. So remember, your shadow is your light. It's the light of your being. And it's holding all of the junkery and all of the things that you don't want to deal with. And that's why, if you look at a lot of teachings like in Jesus and Christ and so forth, Jesus had Holy Communion, right? What was the Holy Communion? A dinner for everyone to drink wine and eat bread? No. Holy Communion for Jesus was about sharing, here is my body, here is my blood. You are me, I am you. You will do greater things than I. Not bow down to me and make me the person who's going to fix everything for you, because that is not how you be and honor yourself as a child of God. Be a child of God, be a child of source, means that you get out of codependency and recognize what has been laid before you as wisdoms and teachings and understandings, and now go out and do the things that you can do, because you represent the light. The light. My friend has this amazing song, and if you knew who you were and what you can do with the light, right? That verse right there, if you know who you were and what you can do with the light, the questions and the energies and the things that you're dealing with would make you be like, oh, I get it. I see why I don't have money. I get it. I see why I don't have love. I get it. Because you would go straight to your shadow, and you would not be afraid to hear what your shadow has to say, even though you've been playing games and sabotaging yourself because you don't want to face how you really feel about the situation. And that's what's happening right now on Earth with the coronavirus, is that the coronavirus is saying it's time for each and every person to show up with love. responsibility, is the ability to show up with love. Okay? And so that's what's happening right now. And this, oh, and just to give you a little, if you read the book Spirit Hacking that I wrote, the book it's a guide to get you through the blackout. But the blackout is not just this coronavirus. The blackout is the things that will come after too. You see, the coronavirus is a soft reminder from the spirit world and from the nature spirits and from the trees and from the animals. You are making it very challenging for the planet to sustain you. So we need to put you in your homes so the air and the water and the plants and the minerals and everything can get a resurgence from all of the intense things that you've been doing to your mother. Now, this is just a little soft, we love you. Take some time to think about what the truth is in your life. Get in touch with your light, which is your shadow, and ask, how am I showing up on earth? And where am I putting my energies? And am I spending more time complaining and bickering and making everyone miserable around me because I want to be miserable, because I want to hold on to things that happened to me in my past? And I want to continue going on dates with people and asking about their past instead of realizing that the past is a part of your remembrance training to help you understand human evolution, human suffering, and why humans make choices the way they do, so that you in the present and the future tense is operating in a new awareness. The coronavirus is just a magistrate, meaning it is just there as a gentle push for those who want to leave the planet. We are accepting applications for those who want to leave the planet, and that's really what you want to do. We have a gateway, a stargate that is now over the earth that is taking mass amounts of souls. If you are ready to come home and you don't want to continue amplifying love in this area, in this dimension, you're welcome to go home. So let us know, and we will make sure that the coronavirus takes you out very quickly so you can be out of here and you can go back home to heaven. And for those who would like to stay through the whole entire blackout, and you, at any time of the blackout of the resurgence of Earth that moves into fifth dimensional form, you have a choice to leave. You don't have to stay here, but you have a choice to leave, and we will make ways for that. Okay? But if you don't, and you want to be on Earth to help your brothers and sisters, remember, we need you at this time to focus on how you are bringing and amplifying love and generosity and kindness and understanding and looking at yourself in the mirror, and no more looking at the Buddha, no more looking at the Christ. They gave you the instructions you need. You've gotten it all already, okay? Now it's time for you to show up. Now it's time for you to respond with love. Now it's time for you to amplify love's awareness. Now it's time for you to relinquish control. And now it's time for you to step into a relationship with your shadow, so that your shadow can give you proper instructions on which way to move and which way to elevate yourself by you listening and following its instructions for you to be a fifth dimensional being. When you hear people talk about ascension, did they think ascension was going to be that you're just hanging out in your house, watching the boob tube, and all of a sudden this ET comes over your house and it's like, woo, 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 woo. We're ready to take you now. All those who want to come into the ascension ray, the ascended masters are all here, and we're here to beam you up. Really? As I know some people actually thought that. I know they did. That's not what ascension is. Ascension means that you become an amplified, anchored, energetic source on the planet of light in a midst of chaos and destructive restructuring and architecture of the human and the planetary kingdom. Do you understand? So it means literally that you have learned how to lighten your load and become lighter in your body so that you are not affected by the things that are going to take place on planet Earth, and you are ready, available to support your brothers and sisters for their transition into wokeness and love and generosity and kindness and genius creative ideas to support a global system in thriving. This is Operation Planet Lift. And not only are you lifting the planet, the reason why you went through all the pain and the suffering and the hurt and the heartache and you see suffering and death and people killing and this and that and the other is because you're also here to lift the dark realm in this dimension, to send a clarion call to other dimensions that are far worse than this one, to that it is possible to be able to move darkness into the light through collective love and sharing. That means what? That means that this reality of planet Earth is one reality out of millions. This, how you can say, is one aspect. There is an Earth where we never built the atomic bomb. There is an Earth that exists where guns were never formulated. And there's an Earth that exists where nature is the resounding energy source on the planet that governs all technology and all interactions. There is an Earth where the buildings are not square, but round and allows people to move. There's an Earth where cars are not necessary and they use magnetic strips where boxes show up through computer things that you push on the walls, and you tell how many are you going, and this thing shows up and says, this thing will arrive at this time, and then it shows up in front of your home, and then you can get in. If it's 3 people, you push 3 and the chairs come down, and it's all eco-friendly and it's all connected. And literally, it is a system where when people take showers in their world, oxygen is pumped in, and plants, they take showers in round plants so they get good ozone. You see, our Earth is one of the many Earths that exist, because the universe is quantum, not linear. That means what? That means that as we are able to show the progress of being able to see duality and created out of the split of what was synergy into polarity, and we've been playing polarity on these different sides, then we have the ability through love, through collective love, to bring those polarities into harmony and oneness, which then allows the 4 gates of awareness to open, and we move into 5th dimensional consciousness and awareness simultaneously. That means we only have to have 60% of people on the planet holding that frequency of love for all things. And then all the others will just come along because they will be entranced by the energy of joy and happiness and pleasure and bliss and so forth, that it will feel so good, they'll walk right to it. You see? So who holds the highest frequency? Like when someone's in the hospital fighting for their life, it's not that they're fighting, it's that they are deciding. Okay, the one that wants to leave, the one that wants to stay. It's all percentages. So again, shadow, what I would like for you to do when it is about connecting with your shadow, my loves, is to take a piece of paper and say, and write up, say, and on top of paper, say, woke conversation with my shadow. And then you're going to write a question. And then without thinking, without looking, without being distracted, you're going to write what the shadow says to you. This is the beginning exercise. And as you get comfortable with this for at least 6 to 8 months, then you're going to move into communicating with your shadow, practicing your AVK, which means after you've done that for 8 or 6 months, okay, that's what it's going to take for you to truly build that relationship through writing. Then you move on to the second aspect of connecting with your shadow, which is to see how your shadow shows you visuals. Does it give you words? or feelings. And that you do that for months. And what will happen is it will begin to coalesce into one communication where you will never not listen to your shadow. And then you're going to see amazing things happen if you follow your shadow's instructions. Now, I don't always follow my shadow's instructions because I'm human. So when I want everyone to know that, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, Dirk follows all instructions. Absolutely not. In fact, I do a lot of things contrary to what my shadow would tell me. And I do it because I'm a human being and I'm stubborn. And I go, oh, stubborn spirit, I'm utilizing you incorrectly. You see? So again, like example, for instance, my shadow will say to me, you need to go to sleep because this is how much energy you actually need to handle being on TV, being on Instagram, being on this new show you're starting up, doing all the things I do. I mean, I can't list everything because it's a lot. Shadow says, go to bed at this time. This is what you need. This is what you need to do. Here's your exercise routine. Here's your this. Here's your that. This is what's going to give you everything your heart desires. Okay? And what do? I stay up and play video games. What do? I go and call friends. What do? Oh, my friends are waking up in London. Let me go call them. What do? I sit and practice my powers, or I meditate, or I color my coloring book, or I dance to country music when I should be in bed, or I'm watching Netflix, or I'm surfing my Instagram and going through DMs that are far behind and sending people messages. I mean, let's be real. I'm not going to pretend and be like one thing I find fascinating when I think of when I meet all these different spiritual leaders from around the world, they all went, oh yes, yeah, we're like, this, like this. Please, I have friends who are shamans in the jungle who will go to a place where they can get access to their cell phone and check their Instagram messages. Okay, the reality is this. Okay, that's why I thought it was amazing. When you see there was, I think it was Deepak Chopra, and his son was doing a documentary on him, and his father was like, I'm going to go meditate. And then he took a camera and showed his father actually sleeping. It was like, we have to recognize that we are human. And remember, wellness is realness. Spirituality is evolution. We can't pretend, right? I'm not going to pretend that I'm meditating 24 hours and I got this golden thing around my head, and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm sorry. There's times I trip, I fart, I eat food that I shouldn't. I go be a vegan, then I'm a chegan, then I'm sneaking cheese. There's times where I should be working out, but I'm not working out because I'm watching the Netflix. And there's times where I could be meditating and I'm on my Instagram. We have to be real about it. The reason why I'm being real about it with you is because I want you to not put me on a pedestal. I want us to see eye to eye. We all do it. We all do it, okay? So when my shadow's like, it would best be suited for you to do this, and this, because this, and this will happen. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm rock and roll shaman here. I'm putting my country boots on and I'm gonna listen. Rock me, baby, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. And my nieces who live with me, they're like, how many times are you gonna play that song? How many times are you gonna play that song? People are like, oh my gosh, I'm a vegan. Sometimes. And then sometimes I'm not. And then sometimes I'm a chegan, which is the cheating vegan. And the reality is the reality. So the thing is, we have to be honest with these truths. And that's how we grow. That's how we prosper. That's how we create real authentic relationships. Not by going on my Instagram and I take a vacation like 2 years ago and took the most fabulous pictures in the Mediterranean, and now I'm posting it 3 years later because it makes me look hot, like my life is so fabulous, All of that is just not 100% held in truth. And what it does is it creates distortion. When people see it and when people experience it, it creates distortion. And that's the reason why it's important to be real about it, Like I had one person who saw me on Instagram and then they came and spent time with me and they're like, hey, are you and Sam gonna get in the car and sing your country music? I'm like, not today. We don't feel like singing country music today. We actually just want to listen to Disney music. He's like, what? You never showed us you and Sam in the car listening to Disney music. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You thought hanging out with me, you were going to get the Shaman Durek listening to country music because that's what you saw on IG. Well, I don't put everything on IG, you know? I listen to Disney music. I listen to country. Sometimes there's some hip hop that's bumping, you know, but mostly it's country, Disney music, orchestra, and live band, banjo, you know, but it's going to change, you know. So if you thought you like Shaman Durek, you're going to get in the car with me and Sam, we're going to be cruising, and all of a sudden we're going to be singing country. So he's like, hey, you guys, when are you going to sing country music? I was like, oh, Lord. So reality, right? That's why I love reality bites, right? Reality bites because it's real, be real about situation, right? So once I explained that to him, it was like his heart was broken because he couldn't, he could only hold me to what he saw on IG Live. Just like I have friends who are like do TV shows and they'll still call my friend, oh, you know, they're like, oh my God, Elena Gilbert, oh my God, like I'm like, like, oh my God, like, no, darlings, no. I don't care if you're the Dalai Lama. I have friends who work with the Dalai Lama, who serve the Dalai Lama, and he's also doing those things, okay? So it's not about the holier than thou. It's not about, oh, you have to get to where we are. We are where you are, okay? I have my days, and I just have a lot of tools to know how to deal with my days, right? Okay, and that's the truth of it, right? But if I'm not going to walk around like on be like I'm holier than holy, and you have to attain to some place where I'm at. We are all in this together. I don't care who you are, what you are. That's what coronavirus is letting everybody know. I don't care how many cars you have, how many houses you have, how many this you have. Everyone is in this together. Okay, that's the reality of it. Okay, so remember that. So the next time you compare yourself to someone because you see what they're doing on their IG or you see what they're doing in their like social platforms and whatnot. Okay, I don't know if you've seen the movie Alice in Wonder. No, not Alice in Wonderland. Actually, take that back. I don't know if you've seen the movie Wizard of Oz. Okay, there's a lot of things that go on behind the curtain that you don't see that makes Oz operate. So just realize that the more comfortable we are in being in that space, the more easier it's going to be for us to have a relationship with our shadow. Practice those techniques. I know how powerful you are. And I'm super, super excited to see and get all the letters from everyone. You can check this out on Apple TV at KNEKT.TV. And also, if you like the things you're hearing, please check out Ancient Wisdom Today. And if you haven't got the Spirit Hacking book, I don't know what you're doing because it is a must-have in your home for what we're going through and what we will be going through for the next 12 years. So I love you so much. You're amazing. You're gifted. You're talented. You're smart. You're a genius. You're creative. You're sensual. You're generous. And I love you. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful for you for showing up for yourself, which is showing up for all of us. And I'll see you tomorrow on 30 Days Strong. Lit kisses. Amala Ashe. Amala Ashe.